Okay, welcome everyone to Artivism, the Power of Art for Social Transformation. This presentation is being recorded, so if you do not want to be on screen or on video, you can turn your camera off. The video will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel, Artivism for Shared Humanity, for educational purposes. Today we have with us the Adelphi University's student organization, Arachne's Weavers. We have founder and president of Arachne's Weavers, Wally, who has a lifelong background in fiber arts, having grown up in a South Asian seamstress with a South Asian seamstress in the house. She learned how to sew by the age of 6, solely by using fabric scraps and borrowed needles and thread, spending countless recesses mending classmates' stuffed animals and clothes. She learned how to crochet by the age of 9 after stumbling across an old crochet hook, once belonging to a relative's, and it made her wonder how many other arts she could be proficient at if she had access to more materials at that age. Inspired by the accessibility, challenges of fiber materials, and the cultural value of these skills, Wally aims to make fiber arts more accessible and to educate the community on all the little ways they show up around the world and in our daily lives. Wally is currently studying psychology and computer science, information security at Adelphi University, blending creative and technical skills to lead Arachne's Weavers in meaningful projects. We also have with us Takrim. Takrim is treasurer of Arachne's Weavers. She is self-taught. She has taught herself many forms of fiber art, such as embroidery, sewing, crochet, since she was very young. However, throughout middle school and in high school, she focused on 2D art. With her background in 2D art, she is now reteaching herself fiber arts alongside members of the club. Takrim aims to show members of the club the beauty of the process of learning a new skill. She believes that the most important step is taking the courage to start and hopes that with her learning alongside her peers, she can foster a supportive environment that welcomes mistakes. Takrim is majoring in computer science, software engineering, and double majoring in graphic design and video game design at Adelphi University. She hopes to blend technology and art to create and support new projects in Arachne's Weavers. Welcome.
My God, we had a whole introduction part. Now it's just like, okay.
Hello. Okay, let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Just let me know if you can see it.
I can see it. Very good. Just click
Okay.
slideshow, and I think it's in the corner top right.
Yeah, I can't see it correctly here. Okay.
Okay.
All good?
Yep. Okay. Okay. Arachne's Weavers, making fiber arts accessible, building community, and inspiring change. And it's presented by me, Wally, and Three, my treasurer. So the next slide.
Okay. So to first start our presentation, we'd like to introduce you guys to four main forms of fiber arts, which is crochet, knitting, cross stitch, and embroidery. And to give a brief summary of each of them, crochet is a handicraft where yarn is manipulated into interlocking loops with a hook. Knitting is a handicraft where you knitting is a handicraft where yarn is manipulated into interlocking loops with 2 long needles. Cross stitch is a type of embroidery using a special woven cloth and X-tape stitches to create designs in a pixel art format. And embroidery is a type of hand sewing where someone decorates a piece of fabric with hand sewn designs and sometimes using a hoop.
I do want to say that sewing and cross stitch and embroidery are all kind of like in the same circle of fiber arts. So that's mostly fabric and like thread. Okay. So this is our table of contents. We got speaker introductions, how we came to be, our initiatives, and inspiring social change. The next slide. Okay, so yeah, I guess so I think we kind of went over this already, but just to like rehash, I'm a junior, I'm graduating class 2026. I'm a psychology computer science double major with a concentration in information security. I'm also involved with psychology club as a secretary, and my mom is a seamstress, so I've been properly sewing since I was 6. I've had access to needles since before that, but I kind of grew up just learning how to sew by myself, using the internet, watching people how like I watched my mom do it, and I kind of picked it up from that. And I've also been crocheting since I was like around 8 to 9 years old. I dabble in a little bit of everything. I sew, crochet, I embroider. I hope to I hope to start needle felting soon. But I have the mentality of if I can do it. I believe that I can do it. So as long as I have materials, I'll figure it out. And yeah. Okay. Here's some projects I've worked on. As you can see, I'm kind of a floral person. I like making I like micro crocheting specifically more, but the doll in the corner is Nilu from Genshin Impact, and she is a lot more complete now, but these are some of the early stages of her. Um, I like making bouquets and like small micro crochet things, but I've made a bag for my sister and I made that cardigan. And yeah, I mostly like working on like plushies or like smaller, like practical things like bags, but I'll look at clothes again after a while. That cardigan took a lot out of me.
Okay, and hi guys, just to like rehash everything again, my name's Tareem. I'm the treasurer. I'm a sophomore. This is my first time being on an e-board for any club, so I'm learning with everybody. I major in computer science, in software engineering, and I'm double minoring in graphic design and video game design, trying to blend art and STEM together. Um, some of my hobbies are drawing, painting, playing video games, listening to music, dabbling in all forms of art. And before this club, I've mainly like focused on 2D art, um, and like just a lot of like different types of 2D art, like drawing, painting. But yeah, I'm trying to relearn everything again with the members. So it's a very open community, and so nobody feels like they don't belong. So these are some of the works I've done. On the left, this is like one of my 2D art pieces that I've done. I did this last year for AP Art, so this is one of my favorites. So, and then the two on the right, or yeah, right, I think, are pieces that I've just like recently done or like recently finished. The crochet like little plushies, I did them probably in the last month or so, just trying to practice it, I guess you could say. And the embroidery I did during the summertime when I was really bored. And that's actually the first like fiber art piece I actually completed. So
This is how we came to be. It's our origin story. Okay, so this club came to be after my friend and coworker Jordy, who's now the vice president of Arachnes. We saw each other crocheting in public 24/7. I'm always doing something in class, or I'm always just like everywhere I go. People always see me with a little project. I crochet while I walk. Like it was a lot. And I always saw Jordy doing the exact same thing. We work at admissions at Adelphi. So after one of our work shifts, it was a mandatory event. So everyone was kind of leaving. So it was just two of us and a few other friends. We started talking about how like sad it was that other colleges had crochet clubs, but we didn't. And I was like very, very sad about it because I had friends at Sunnybrook and I know they had one. And we kept being like, God, I wish someone would start one. And after like a year, I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. And I started researching on how to start clubs on campus and began finding members for an e-board. That was definitely a process for sure. I'm glad I had a lot of friends on e-boards and that I went to a lot of events, so I kind of understood some of the logistics and had people to guide me through it. But I found that many people I talked to were very interested in fiber arts, but they didn't know where to start. During this time, I realized I didn't want to limit to this club to just crochet or knit. I wanted them to see everything fiber arts had to offer. And then I came up with the name Arachne's Weavers after the Greek myth. If you guys are familiar with it, it's just sorry, I just love that myth a lot. But long story short, a woman named Arachne basically got into like a weaving battle with Athena, the goddess of weaving and wisdom. And Athena turned her to a spider because she was annoyed that Arachne won, in my opinion. but she basically made fun of the gods like Zeus and all that. So Athena was offended and turned her to a spider so she could weave for the rest of her life. So that's where the name came from. And I know a lot of people just associate it with fiber art. So I thought it was like a nice all-rounder term. But yeah, I have a friend that I inspired to start the exact same kind of club in Queens, but they're also very limited to just crochet and knit. And I just did not want to, I wanted us to have members who, if they did something else that was like more obscure, to bring it to light so we can have some kind of platform to share it with everyone. So after I gained the interest signatures needed, the desperate search for an advisor ensued. That was also kind of a crazy ride. I posted on Instagram asking if anyone knew someone who'd be interested in being an advisor for this type of club. And at the same time, I had a public teacher professor, my public teaching professor, Fraser. I was ranting to him about it because I was like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, oh, there was a club recently that came by, and the person in charge of it seemed like she'd be interested in this type of stuff. You should ask someone, I'll send you her email. And the email was Archie. And it's funny because a second I finished writing that email and I sent it, I look over on Instagram and one of my friends who graduated from Adelphi was like, I know the perfect person for this. RG, I called her for you and she said yes. So I was like, okay, two different people told me this. It was fate. So I figured that part out. That was like, I think the most stressful part of all of it was like, because that was like, it was like a very limited time stretch. So the fact that we got that was amazing and phenomenal. We can go to the next part, stream.
Mhm.
So we had a lot of hurdles in the beginning. So our first interest meeting was not at an ideal time. So only a few people showed up. It was like very late. And there was a very huge event happening next door that was like a fashion show. So we had like one person who wasn't able to show up. And you know what? We still made it work and it was really nice, but and like small and cozy. But you know, interest meeting, it was too late. I had a lot of people reach out to me and be like, hey, I wish I could have made it, but it's too late. But while I was annoyed about that, I'm not annoyed. That's the wrong word. But I was like, okay, it could have been better. But you know, we all start somewhere. A bunch of my friends from the fashion event came over, and that's how we actually got our secretary Annie because they were there, and I was like, you crochet, you should try it out. And the second hurdle, our biggest hurdle, was the person in charge of our club from SCE, which, if you're unfamiliar, is just a club that's in charge of um like organizations on campus, like student organizations. She left Adelphi, so we didn't know about that until after all our meeting times were already scheduled. So it kind of delayed everything, and we couldn't start our official club for like 2 more semesters. So we should have started last semester, but now it's starting now. This is our first semester. And we also had no tables for the first few meetings. So that was honestly, that built community for sure, because all of us were just like, where are the tables? And it became like a running joke inside our club for a while. But we did have to get a lot of very creative with how we managed that. And it honestly, it led to a lot of us just getting more close. But next slide.
Yeah, like definitely like to add on to that, like definitely that first type of it kind of was like an icebreaker almost for everybody, and it was kind of like showing that, we're not like a very like formal club, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like our main goal was to like just make a little small community, you know what I mean? And that was really an icebreaker, and like some people I've never spoke to before, like we were able to get like a close bond with each other and make inside jokes, which was really able to help us.
Nevertheless, we persisted. So the interest of our club was extremely high. It's just that most people couldn't make the timings in the beginning. So when we started again this semester, we were like, okay, we're gonna participate in every single club fair that they're hosting and see if people are actually wanting to be here, like what the vibe was. And it was actually a hit. I was very, very happy. My e-board was celebrating afterwards. We ran out, there was no tables, but we kind of ran out of chairs at one point. Everyone just sat on the carpet and we just kind of made circles. It was really nice because I just sat down to grab stuff and everyone just joined me. And I was like, okay, guess we're crafting on the ground now. So all of us just pulled out all the materials that RG supplied and we just started teaching each other how to crochet and knit. And it was, when I tell you, I wish I took photos of that day because I think it was my favorite meeting we've had. And even though it was the first one, it was like, it was beautiful. And so far and we just wanted to make a community where it could be very casual and safe, and you can just have fun and de-stress. In the corner, you could see an image I took from our first crochet workshop where we made sprouts, like little headphone sprouts, and everyone was locked in. And so far this semester, we've had crochet and embroidery sewing workshops so that students will be able to have a stab at something they may not have had the chance to try earlier. So we've only done like 2, 3 fiber arts so far, but we're hoping to do a little bit more next semester.
Okay, our initiatives. So I'm gonna talk about like our goals and motivations for really like starting this club and upkeeping it. And so we have two main goals really. One, accessibility. I know like it's really hard for people to get access to materials, but also not just talking about materials, it's also about one-on-one like um workshops, especially for college students who just don't have the time or money, you know what I mean? So with our club, we really wanted to, well, one, let people have like n- have access to materials and just start somewhere. And we also know that learning from a YouTube video is really hard sometimes. So we want to have one-on-one workshops and teaching sessions with our members so that we can just teach them in person even better, you know? And two, well, we've talked about throughout the whole presentation, creating a community space. Honestly, I feel like as a college student, in academia, it's really hard to push through creativity. And I feel like a lot of times, in academia, people don't really want you to be creative. They want you to fit the formula. Um, but we wanted to create a space that kind of breaks off. And even though we are associated with Adelphi, a college, we wanted it to be a space where it's just creative and that can foster both motivation and creativity for everybody. I know personally that the reason why I didn't start fiber arts is because I didn't have a community. I only knew Wally that did fiber arts, and that's the only person I knew. But now after going to these meetings, even myself, I have gained the motivation to do more projects. And one of my friends, she also gained the motivation to do and finish a project for her mom. And now I know that she is exploring fiber arts, and it's honestly a very, very welcoming and just a nice experience overall.
It was actually, I was looking, we have a e-board election happening because my vice president unfortunately is transferring away after this semester. And I was looking at some of the responses we got, and people were telling me about how they learned how to crochet because this club and how they feel confident enough to start teaching people now. And it's just kind of crazy to me that that much progress was made in just one semester, and that having that community got them that skill, like they gained it. Like it's just really cool, especially like seeing how people learn. Like you can tell when their eyes when they finally hits and clicks in their brain. And I just love that feeling and that experience. Here's some photos I actually took of the events we've had so far. So the lefty corner, I dragged a bunch of my friends to our events, and all of them are lefties. And if you know anything about crocheting, when you crochet as a lefty, you crochet backwards, kind of. So I learned how to crochet backwards for them, and they made it like a corner, and we keep calling it lefty corner. That person in the middle is Jacqueline. That was one of our finished embroidery workshop like results. There was a lot of cute designs, but that one I love that one, especially because it's floral and that's kind of my thing. I ended up collabing with Psych Club 2. We did a distress collab. So we just made a bunch of macrame bracelets while discussing the psychology behind stress and the science behind it. And the last one is our beautiful members during one of our general crafting meetings. And
And
yeah.
yeah, just to add on, like I personally like for me, for the past few workshops, I've been like one-on-one teaching one of our members, and it's so gratifying to see that like outside of this 40-minute block that we have, you know what I mean, of a meeting, she was showing me all her work, and she did like a block of like single stitches in crochet, a block of double stitches, all because I taught her like the stitches that she needs to in like 40 minutes. And it's honestly so gratifying as someone who taught someone and personally did not have any confidence in what they were teaching. It it makes you stop and wonder and realize that wow, you actually are teaching people and affecting these people and maybe making them happier, you know?
I will say, actually, this is me bragging about the Dream. The Dream started this club as just an embroidery person. I was desperate for a board member, and I asked her, and she's like, "Does embroidery count?" And I was like, "Yes, it counts." So, she learned how to crochet for this club and started teaching people immediately. And it's actually been so like awesome to see you grow and do it yourself too. I feel like a grandma right now. I'm very proud.
Oh, thank you. I mean, yeah, it's honestly teaching is just such a amazing
It's very
experience.
fulfilling.
Hmm.
Next slide. Okay, so inspiring social change, what we've done to help, and what we plan to do. Okay, so I made this whole little slide up. Um, Craftivism, it's fiber art history and artivism. So craftivism is an actual word. It's a branch of graffiti used to raise awareness of social justice issues, typically used with fiber arts. I wanted to talk specifically about yarn bombing. I felt like it fit the vibe of this presentation. So yarn bombing is a type of graffiti or street art that employs colorful displays of knitted or crocheted yarn instead of paint or chalk. So, and it has multiple names, like so many different names. It's universal. Some of the names are wool bombing, yarn storming, guerrilla knitting, knit tifi, urban knitting, and graffiti knitting. So as you can see on the side, it's basically when, if you ever saw people like toilet paper a house, kind of similar, but with yarn. And it really started as a way for Texan knitters to use up old and finished projects in yarn. I think I remember reading, I'm forgetting her name specifically, but in 2005, a Texan knitter, I think, made door cozies because she had like left the doorknob cozies because she had leftover yarn. And she was like, wait, I see something with this. And they started growing and ended up growing a huge political connotation as it became popularized by women and other marginalized groups as a form of peaceful protest. It drew attention to current feminist movements, partly due to reclaim traditionally feminine arts, because crocheting and knitting is open to everyone, but traditionally it is feminine. And it was a way to like protest or take up space in the male-dominated graffiti scene, is what I've read, especially in the UK. And it's also a statement that reclaims public spaces for the people. I do know that there was a huge controversy a while ago because of, if anyone's familiar with the Charging Bull statue in New York City, that statue has been through a lot of protests. I mean, politically, like I know with the Fearless Girl, people always change the meaning of it, and there's been a lot of controversy around it in general. But I do remember that it was yarn bombed at one point, and I think the person did get in trouble for it. But first, I think it was a way to, there was multiple reasons. People said that it was a way to protest like the financial state of the country at the time, but it was also said to like bring joy. The person that made it was Polish, and he said there was like specific connotation with like Polish Christmas. So it was just kind of like a little festive cheer, but also we're protesting like there's a lot of different interpretations, which art that's how it works. But yarn bombing has been around forever from what I've known, like at least the past like 40 years-ish. And it mostly is a way just to bring joy to people's daily lives and again reclaim public spaces that are very like dreary and minimalistic. So I felt like that was just something I should mention here. Because there is a huge history of fiber arts and artivism. This is the, I think, most well-known one that I can elaborate more on. And you can hit the next slide, 3.
Okay. And so another
I think
way that you could bring the community is connecting cultures and everyone through fiber arts. As I mentioned previously, fiber arts are a way to like present every single culture in the world, like in some way, shape, or form. I know RG just talked about the way like was it was like rugs, right? Like the way that they would take unused rags and kind of weave them and create them into these big elaborate rugs. Um, and I know like personally, in Pakistani culture, there's many different ways of embroidery that I may not know the names of, the official names of, but there is definitely different techniques of embroidery. And so a little bit of we did that a little bit this semester by collabing with SJP earlier this semester to run a fundraiser Touch Rees workshop, which is like a form of traditional Palestinian cross stitch. and it was really interesting to learn about because it was so simple, yet it was so beautiful at the same time.
Yeah,
And I
to
know
add
a
on
lot
to
of
that, like the
Mhm.
president is Palestinian and she talked in depth about the cultural significance of it, how I know with Palestinian brides, there's specific, like you work on your tatris and your outfit for like a very long time until you try it on, like slow fashion, and how significant it is and how every single symbol has a separate meaning. So I think the one that we did was like snowflake, but
Mhm.
she had a bunch of different like mini things we can do, and it gave us to talk about the cultural significance of it and gave us the opportunity to try it themselves. I'm gonna talk about the last bullet point because I have like more information on it. Sorry, Three. But
Cool, no worries.
so I'm very interested in talking more about the cultures that fiber arts are, because again, it's the one thing that's always consistent in every culture. And I'm interested in one day doing a collaboration involving an exploration of Tamari, aka Japanese embroidery ball. It might be coming fall 2025, but there's a professor here named Professor Stepkowski, and he did his thesis, and he's a math professor. He did his thesis on fiber arts and math and how they interconnect. And his thesis specifically, I read it, like it was really interesting. It was about Tamari and the math behind like the designs. And he created a program with another professor at Adelphi that could, and you input functions into it, and it creates geometric shapes and the shapes that are used to make tamari, and you can, it's like a 3D model. I am not mathematically gifted enough to understand the full extent of it, but it was very, very interesting. And I also know people will inject that you might be doing something with it. I'm considering doing some kind of thing. I want to bring more small things, like, because I've never heard of tamari until I talked to Professor Stem, and I didn't know about the threes in detail until I talked to SJP. I know cross stitching, but learning the cultural significance and different things and learning about it in detail and respecting that culture, I think is a really important part of who we are.
Yeah, and to like go back on it, like every culture has done some form of fiber arts, and I think now like fiber arts, especially with fast fashion and all these companies taking control of clothing, it's really it's really easy to get lost in the move of things. But I think relearning these traditional fiber arts can not only help us connect to our cultures, but to connect to other cultures and intermingle and see the similarities and differences. Um, so yeah, fiber arts really does have a large impact on the community. And I think if more people did it, or if more people had access to do it, I think it would help people connect more. So,
Is our next one donations to charities and programs? So I know RG already knows about this, but so far since we're a brand new organization on campus, this is our first semester. We can't do as much as we would like to. I'm planning to as we slowly grow membership and get more like of an impact, we could start helping a lot more in the community. But so far, um, at Felicia's Promise is an organization that assists girls of color from underrepresented communities by helping them to develop marketable skills, attain higher education, and learn about career opportunities so they can become more financially independent. I mean, self-reliant, whatever, same thing. Art introduced me to it, and people from our club made a few sprouts to donate so they could sell them and make profit off of that to help with their charity. And that one was the first one we did so far this semester. And I hopefully by either next semester or semester after, I plan to host more workshops to make articles of clothing to donate to local shelters. And the second goal is to collaborate with local organizations and educational institutions so we can expand our community and provide more resources to our members. Upcoming events. I'm going to call right now. Thuriam, do you want to answer? Hold on.
yeah, no worries. So, see, these are some of our upcoming events that we are planning for or what we have left for this semester. Yeah. So we have the Brainy Stitch Society, and so we're going to be collabing with the Neuroscience Society of Adelphi to crochet some mini neurons, like you can see on the screen, this Wednesday, November 20th, from 12 to 3 in Campbell Lounge Room 2. So come join. It's going to
Yeah.
be a really cute thing.
Sorry, that was a doctor appointment. I was confirming I was going. Anyways, yeah, that is not the neuron we're going to be making. I'm waiting on them to send me the pattern because they simplified it a lot more for beginners. It's cuter. Trust me. I saw it. It was adorable. But we're going to collab from 12 to 3. And that's literally this Wednesday. So if you know anyone that's interested, pull up. We're supplying the materials as we usually do. And it's gonna be like this little nice sit
And
down and just
you're gonna learn how to make such a cute little neuron, you know what I
and
mean?
as a psychology major, this is like my thing. I'm a nerd. I love this so much. Shout out to Kiara for doing this. And this is my favorite event. So this is our final event of the semester. So next semester we're gonna come back and try to do a lot more. But it's Arachne University Stress Craft Movie Night. So it's gonna be Thursday, December 5th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is gonna be your final meeting of the semester, and there's gonna be for your food, fiber art kits to work on, and a movie I take home while we watch a fun movie. We ordered like embroidery kits, cross-stitching kits, crochet kits, and we got needle felting kits. So, and we got a bunch of movie snacks, and the movie's probably gonna be Barbie Barbie Fashion Tale. But we're open to any
Fashion fairy tale.
suggestions. Yeah, I'm forcing everyone
Yeah.
to watch it actually. But yeah, it's gonna be very nice, just like a final like distress before final distress before finals.
And if
And
you've like never been to any of our meetings and this is like the first one, we're welcoming anybody, everybody who just
just
wants to
anyone else
like,
to craft
yeah,
and have
anyone that wants
community.
to craft, anyone that just wants to pop in, anybody that just wants to watch a Barbie movie, like just come in, de-stress with us. You don't have to be a crafter, but it'd be
And
nice
this is not
to.
in the presentation, but we do plan on having a little bit more a community outreach next semester. My goal is that by the end of next semester, we'll have a giant craft exchange. I'm in the process of probably after finals, I'll do it a little bit more like focus on it. But we're in the process of reaching out to other organizations or schools. Like I know I've talked to Queens already because I have a friend that started the club there about coming to Adelphi. I'm gonna probably reach out to maybe Hofstra, NYIT, Waldorf. There's another one I'm forgetting right now, Stony Brook. I'm just gonna see anyone nearby who would be interested, and they don't even have to be part of a college. I just want to make an open place, like picnic vibes, where we can all just sit down and exchange crafts. It doesn't have to be fiber arts, but just open to anyone. And I'm really hoping that that goes well. I'm planning on it. If you guys have anyone that you think would be interesting, please feel to like DM us. Actually, if you go to the next slide, there's our contact information's there. Yeah, so feel free to DM us on Insta, which is arachnes_weavers_AU, and our email arachneweavers@adelphi.edu. We also have a Discord and GroupMe, which yeah, here are the QR codes if you guys want to scan them. If you want to join us directly on My AU Life. Our Discord has all the materials in channels. It's very organized. If you have any help, if you're learning, I wanted a place where even if we're not physically on campus, people could still learn. So if people have questions, they could automatically at one of us. We have specific channels. If they have completed projects they want to brag about, if they have other art they want to brag about, if they're working on something and they want advice, if they have any questions about where to purchase yarn, if someone has a deal. I know earlier, there was like a deal on Michael's for buy one, get one 50% off. That one was going crazy. That like yarn, I mean, like specifics. And we also have a GroupMe, which also has all the notifications. So yeah, those are the ways to contact us. I'm so open to anything. We have a lot of collaborations with our club. I feel like it's very easily adaptable to other places. Like next semester, we're also planning on collabing with Access to talk about the intersection between disability and fiber arts. I love working with other people and meeting new people. Everyone in my club does. So if anyone has any kind of like charity they want me to know about, that they think I should know about, any kind of opportunity for club, let me know. I'd be so down. And I think that might be it. Do you have anything to say?
Um, Honestly, just repeating everything that you said.
I feel like
At
I've
the
been
end
very
of the day,
repetitive.
yeah, no, at the end of the day, we're just a community that wants to grow. And we know that there's not a lot of fiber artists, but we hope to maybe extend our outreach on fiber arts and maybe create more fiber artists that may become like experts in the field. We just hope that even at least I hope and the club hopes that even if you're unsure or if you don't know, try your hand at it. You never know if it's if it's something that will become a mainstream in your life. As I said again earlier, or as RG said again earlier, the most courageous step is to just take the first step, you know? And it's the hardest step too, but without you
We've had
take
members. Oh, sorry. I don't know, like, cover you.
no, you're totally fine.
Yeah, we
But I
had
think
members. Yeah, okay, you go first and I'll go for you.
okay, it's fine.
You're good.
Um, so I think like honestly, the biggest step for any art, not even fiber arts, is learning the first stitch, watching maybe 1 minute of a YouTube video. Um, and yeah, and we have the material. So if you ever need to get any materials or you don't have access to them, we're always here. So yeah.
Yeah. Because we have a lot of members that have gone up to me and they've had zero idea what they were doing, but they're a lot more proficient now. But also not everyone, like I have a lot of knitters in my club that don't want to crochet. And that's also valid. I think I forgot to say this earlier, but we're also huge on not forcing someone to craft something when they don't want to.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, besides one member who was part of our e-board, I bullied them into crocheting. But other than
N-
that, we have members that like if we have an embroidery workshop and someone says, "Can I just crochet like I usually do?" Yes, oh my God, of course. Like we're huge on even if we're having a workshop, you can just walk in and just craft with us
mhm.
and we'll still be fine with it.
Our workshops are like for learning one specific thing, but I felt like if at the end of the day we're gonna cater to what you want, you know, and what the people come in for. And so like personally for the last like two embroidery workshops, I've been working with someone on how to like crocheting basics. I've been working with like two people on the basic stitches, like a single stitch, double stitch, what you would need to know. Um, and that's what we've been doing. And it's
Yeah, I was working with someone with about cross stitch from like Art the Threes event still. And it was like during our embroidery week. And I was like, yeah, sure. So we do everything at all times. We have specific things for our events, but even if you still need help with something, we're not turning you away.
we are really chill. At the end of the day, we're
Yeah.
trying to make this instead of like a formal like club and this is our schedule, this is what we have to do. We're trying to make it more as like a community type
Sure.
of event where come in, you know, if you want to learn this, totally fine. If you don't want to and you want to learn something else, totally fine. We'll be there to support you no matter what type of fiber art
Also,
you're doing.
yeah, if anyone here who's watching this or in the future has access to the Delphian, we recently did have a club member write an article about us. And I'm quoted in the article. Basically, that's how we became to be, like everything we went over here. But I am quoted in the article to say that I'm always in an innovation center, which is a place on campus in the library. And I usually have a set of crochet hooks on me. And I said that if anyone ever sees me and they're like, hey, I'm really struggling with this one stitch, I don't know what I'm doing. I love an excuse to not do homework. Come up to me. I'll help you out. I still have people like message me privately on Discord sometimes or message me like through iMessage, like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I'll answer them and walk them through it or find a video that can help them. So we do not bite. Like I very emphasize on being friendly and open to everyone. So yeah, I think that's the end of our presentation. If anyone has any questions they can ask, I'm also open for that.
Thank you so much for all of this. I'm so proud to be part of or proud to be serving as your advisor. I came to one of your meetings and came by for another, and it's just this nice, open, inviting, safe space, right? It's just the whole idea is really beautiful. But before we go to questions, thank you both. Thank you, Wally. Thank you, Tareem. Thank you for all you do, for being such, so open to all of this and so enthusiastic. It's great to see. I didn't see the article in the Delphian. Was it this month's or last month's?
And it just came out.
Okay. I'll
So if
look.
you go to if you grab the Delphian right now, we're like in the middle.
Okay.
It's
Great.
really,
I'm
really,
going to
really
look.
recent.
Just thank you everyone for being here today. Next Monday, November 25th, artist, educator, and teacher, educator Erin Prince will present Deepening Educational Impact with Artistic Inquiry. For more information on this and all of the series, past and upcoming events, please go to the website, adelphi.edu/artivism. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Artivism, the number 4, Shared Humanity, or just Google Artivism Initiative and you will find us. Our YouTube channel is Artivism space the number 4, Shared Humanity. Also, if you would like to get more involved on this ongoing initiative, please contact the Artivism team at artivism@adelphi.edu. Does anyone have any questions? I do have something that Vicki Rosenthal would like to share, and then she could pop in if you like, Vicki, to talk about this.
I'm happy
Sharing
to.
my screen. Here you go. You see it, right?
Yes,
Ah, this is beautiful. What
That
is this?
is crochet and yarn art at an exhibition I went to today. The
Ah,
exhibition was called Political Circus, and this was part of that exhibition. In opposition to all of the craziness of politics and our election, and this was in opposition to it. It doesn't really. I forgot to do the take a photo of the name, but because it was crochet and yarn, and it was so,
It looks like satin stitch kind of from embroidery with yarn.
yeah. And then just the weaving of the yarn to create the faces and all of that. I thought it was amazing. And I had no idea today's presentation was going to be on this. And I thought this is so appropriate. And with your presentations, you both made me want to move up to New York just to be a part of your group. I live in Florida, but you're both so inspiring, and this was an amazing presentation. And what you're doing is like grassroots. It's powerful. It's getting down to the basics of like human existence, and also being so welcoming. All of it is really, really, really important. So thank you for everything you're doing.
there was a question in the chat if you would do one of these workshop virtually, along with, like maybe at a time, if somebody were to, if an organization were to ask you to do a workshop, say, maybe a how-to or something, if you would be open to it. But we could discuss that at a later time, and I can connect.
It would be. I think the issue would only be like the logistics of it personally.
Yes.
So with us, I actually have had members who don't have time for a club. I drop off materials for them, and I say work on your own pace. You can find me outside the club, and that's how we do it.
And we were talking earlier before we started today about men and crocheting and the history, and men and knitting, and the history, the long time history of how men used to, they were knitting. They were knitting when they were on ships. They were knitting when they were, herding sheep all those many hours. And that's something that's not really touched upon. And it might be an interesting little talk for your, for your organization as well. Looking at
It's actually really funny. A lot of my friends are computer science majors because I'm also one. And the ones I dragged to my club meeting, I got them all very invested in crochet now. So sometimes I hang out with them and I go into like a very like male dominated STEM space. I just see them crocheting and I'm like, the world is healing. Just love it.
No, like I totally get it because like especially in our meetings, like Wally's friends come over and like some other members come over, and like we have a pretty equal like distribution between male and female that are interested to learn. And it's just so heartwarming because I feel like there has been such a taboo
stigmatization.
against like stigmatization
Right.
against like what men shouldn't or should do and what women shouldn't or should do. And I think the world is healing by and I think it's really interesting because we have a lot of like men that come to our meetings and are like, oh, can you teach me this?
They're really
And
open to it. I think it might also be crochet got very popular over quarantine, which was good for me because I was into it from the beginning. So I was like, people are finally like understanding my passion about this. But because of that, I feel like it's been a lot more normalized in my generation. So a lot of people I'm seeing, there's not like weird gender normie about it. They're just kind of like, I want to crochet a Pikmin. And I'm like, yeah, I love you. We should do that. I'll teach you how to do it. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's honestly probably one of the most what's it called? Like the thing that has like changed, I guess you say like a generation, I guess you say. I think there is a normalization in our like Gen Z. Um, and yeah, I honestly, it's great for me because, anyways, it brings like creativity and motivation and just brings some light to fiber arts that I really feel like is pushed away from the limelight. Either because like I know personally, like in high school, they don't really have like fiber arts classes like that.
No.
They only really have like 2D or
Fashion
3D, which
design.
is what I did.
I did fashion. I went
Um,
to the same high school, by the way. But
yeah.
we had fashion design, and that is what I was part of. And that's another reason why I wanted to make a place like this, because they gave us sewing machines, they gave us fabrics. Like the teacher in charge of that, Miss Daniels, I love her so much. She was like one of my role models. But she had like a giant room just filled to the brim with different type of fabrics. We had full range. She did not care. You could take whatever you wanted. You could work on it in class. She taught you, obviously. I already knew how to sew, so I kind of just like was in her class for fun.
Mhm.
But it was very like that kind of accessibility again to those type of materials was wonderful. And I was like, I want to recreate this kind of community, but like not in a class setting, in a more casual, anyone can come. We have all different types of majors. We have STEM majors, like we have a collab with Neuroscience Society, access, like theater department, psychology. It's just really nice, like the outreach this has.
Yeah, and I feel like personally, like as a STEM major, as a comp sci major, similar to like Wally and many of the people that I know, I feel like as a STEM major, a lot of times it is like seen very badly upon when you do something creative. And so I hope that like with this club, well, one, it could serve as a space for any major that feels like really bummed out from school or
Mhm.
feels like really pressured. I know, like, especially like for me, um, all of my work is like hard work, like academic, you know what I mean? I hope it serves as like a space to just relax and de-stress
Mhm.
and, you
Yeah, we
know,
canceled our meeting for this week because it's final season and it's right before Thanksgiving break. A lot of people have a lot of projects. I told one of my members that, and she was like, "But this is my de-stressing before my finals." And I was like,
yeah, a lot of the
Oh,
members were like really, really sad. They were like, no. And I was like, it's
I was like,
okay.
I'll
We'll
make up
have
with it with a giant thing at the end. Okay, we're watching a Barbie movie. It's okay.
thank you so much. Thank you. This was great, Carolina. Let me
Thank
see.
you. Good afternoon,
Yes.
everyone. It's wonderful
It's creative.
presentation. Thank you for taking the time and for doing everything that you do and
Goodness.
for inspiring so many as well. And next week, we also have another presentation. It's going to be as well on Monday, same time, same place. I will hope to see you all there. And let me just tell you exactly, it's going to be Deepening Education Impact with Artistic Inquiry. That's November 25th with Dr. Erin Prince. Um, Also, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors, Adelphi University, Think for Hope, Gottesman Libraries, Teachers College at Columbia University, and of course, Professor Arja Galarakis and the entire Artivism team. Before we close, always here in Artivism, we have the tradition of asking the presenters for a key takeaway. But that key takeaway has to be for action. Therefore, now it's your turn. For both of you, what will be your key takeaway for action for our audience members?
I was saying this earlier, but I feel like I want to create a place for people when people are taking from us to learn. I want to give that energy back to the community. Like when I said I wanted to work with the local shelter, I want to teach people how to make things, and then we can potentially make stuff like hats, gloves, scarves, and then give it back to like local shelters around us to use. I talked to RG about this in more depth, like
Right.
privately, but yeah.
yeah, and I think the key for me at least is like I think the biggest thing is just taking that first step. I think a lot of people are afraid to especially take a first step in a time where like I feel like perfection is always like you need to be perfect, you need to be perfect. Um, I just want people to take that first step, and just connect to people by fiber arts, connect to different cultures, because there's a lot of history in fiber arts and a lot of cultures have tons and tons of history with
Right.
fiber art, like different type of fiber arts. And I think if we as humans, we're able to relearn these cultural like arts and stuff like that, we'd be able to learn more about ourselves, but more about other people. And in a time where like sometimes I feel like people hate on others, it'd be a nice way to bring peace in the world,
Right. Vicky, you have a question?
So sorry, it's not a question, but another idea for both of you when you said it again with these last statements is that there's so many or several nonprofits that work with asylum seekers for those women and men who have come from other countries, and particularly in Africa, that work with textiles. And that might be another avenue for you to explore, because that not only honors their existence and them trying to make it here in the US, but also get other learnings from them in order to expand your knowledge of what you're trying to do.
Oh, that seems really interesting. Like,
Yeah, if
I'd
you have
love to
any kind
explore
of
that.
like
Yeah.
details that you want, you can feel free to email us. We're on my AU Life, and I had like the contact information, the slideshow. I could share that with RG actually, if you want to do that, Dream.
Yeah, no, that
Share
that
slideshows, you
seems
can have that.
really,
Yeah,
yeah.
we would be so down. Literally just contact us and we'll get back to you. And just
Mhm.
so I have it. I do have a doctor's appointment, so I'm gonna head out a little bit early, but Dream, if you want to take over after this.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It
I
was so
would
nice meeting you
love
guys though.
to.
Thank you so much. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Yeah, no, I think that'd be really, really interesting. As we said before, we are a new club, so we didn't really have like access, but like doing these and especially like, meeting like people from like all backgrounds, like and learning about these like
Right.
nonprofits, like I would love to like reach out to these nonprofit organizations and like try to figure out something. Maybe have like online, workshop, we're still figuring things out, but that we'd love to have all ideas and stuff like that. And also I wanted to talk about like in the chat how Vicky was like saying how like science is creative. Yeah, 100% it is. I feel like in an academic setting though, many times people kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Many times professors like no creativity, even though it is a very creative field and
Yes.
that's what they look for.
Right.
Um, so I don't understand the disconnect, to be honest. I don't understand why in academia it is looked so down upon, but I hope that with our club we can kind of mend that bridge of art and science. And even now, thankfully, at Adelphi, especially, I've met a lot of professors that do love creativity and are scientists.
Yeah.
So yeah, really interesting stuff,
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening to our
Oh my God,
presentation.
it was wonderful. It was
Great.
really, really wonderful. I
Yeah.
Thank you.
love how much you all have done in so little time. And I've come by, and I did come by when there were no tables and everyone was just sitting on the floor. And it was like it was almost a blessing that there were no tables.
Yeah, no,
It was
honestly, it brought us closer,
it
which is
did.
so odd,
It
but
really
yeah.
did.
I feel like a lot of times, like, especially because I'm a sophomore. So
Hmm.
for me, this is like my second year, never done clubs. I feel like, uh, seeing it from a freshman point of view, I get why many would be scared because they're like, it's a club, but I think having no tables kind of made it very welcoming in a weird
Did.
way, which is, I'm very grateful for that.
Hmm.
And I like to say that like our club is like really blessed with the amount of success we've gotten.
Hmm.
And that's just thanks to the school, the students, and the fiber art community.
Right.
So, yeah, thank you so much, though,
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
giving us a platform.
Stay in
And
touch. Definitely. And we look forward to more projects, more presentations, more exhibitions, more.
I was going to say, think about having an exhibition.
Mhm.
It
yeah, no,
would be
100%.
great. It would be great. I mean, those cells,
Hmm.
what you're doing with the neuroscience, they're beautiful. I love them. Really, we'll talk about it. Having an
Yeah,
exhibition, yes.
yeah, no, definitely like it's definitely like a logistics. Like all these are great ideas, just logistics. But
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, definitely like we're open to new ideas. I say this to my members all the time. If you have any new ideas, or if you have anything that you want us to do, just let us know. Because at the end of the day, it's not just a club, it's a community that we're trying to grow.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a
Stay
good night.
in touch,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Have a good night.
You
Good
too.
night. Stay well.